the Tigers, and he's actually second in the league just behind Crown in that category. So taking away all of his picks here, and no Nidalee, of course, for Peanut.
Yeah, I mean, this is just ROX saying, you know what, you have 2 subs coming in on the squad. Mickey, you're one of the more consistent players that's left on the roster outside of Songyun that's a damage threat. So, you know what, we're just going to focus you out.
Yeah, Songyun's had a bit of an up-and-down season, too. He really did perform better in the second robin of spring, and that gave Afreeca more of a 2-carry threat, because Linderong and Ixu are basically tank-only players, so they really rely on... Like, Songyun is like the X factor for Afreeca. If Songyun's having a great game, then Afreeca are monsters. If he's having an average to below-average game, then there's really no more threats on Afreeca, and it causes a lot of problems. And look at this. First pick Echo here. Trying to take it away from Smeb, but oh boy, he's still got a lot to work with. GP, we have seen GP basically in a losing matchup versus the Trinity Force Echo, but a lot of options here with Smeb's champion pool. And Smeb is gunning for that MVP. He is on top of the standings right now and has a chance to potentially...
Tied with Someday.
Tied with Someday, that's true. So he needs some more MVP points if he wants to get that award this season.
Yeah, twice in a row, the first one to do it, but needs to get some MVPs today because Someday is going to play again tomorrow. And we'll have that opportunity to carry and inch out above Smeb if he doesn't get some more. But it's going to be Karma and Gragas picked up for ROX. So could just be mid-Karma for Kuro. Could see it go down to Gorilla. So some ambiguity. I can't talk. English is hard. Ambiguity there. And then Gragas for Peanut. So still getting a really strong jungler for him. Of course, can't give him the Nidalee. So.
Yeah, and they are going to pick the Gragas over the Hecarim, which is becoming an increasingly popular pick here in Korea. The Ashe takeaway, probably pretty important, one of the rare games we're not going to see an 80 carry ban. And of course, Prey's 80+% career win rate on that Ashe is something that you always have to take seriously. Now, probably, yes, it's a flex pick, but almost certainly this Karma is going to the mid lane because they're going to want to run Smeb on a carry.
Now it's going to be Ashe and Elise locked in for Songwon. So not going to opt into the Hecarim that was available. So going to have that early pressure jungle coming out. See if he's able to make some plays because we didn't see so many coming out from Lyra. Not applying very much pressure in their last series against Samsung. So we'll see how Songwon comes back in, as he hasn't been seen in quite some time. But you mentioned the Gangplank. Hover coming through right now for ROX, and it could just be the Jhin for Prey.
Wow. Smeb is one of the very best Gangplank players in the world, and having that opportunity to take it, especially with the Karma in the mid lane, get the protection that you need in the late game, and Prey, of course, is Jhin. Very good as well. They've got Disengage already with the combination of the Karma and the Gragas, so they should be pretty safe even as less mobile backline champions, and that's what's going to be locked in here. So lots of tower diving possibilities, long-range threats, globals coming in from the ROX Tigers. Kuro has not switched to TP yet in that mid lane, but...
Well, you know, we mentioned Freecs don't have much to play for right now. This would be a pretty good time for Mickey to lock in the Yasuo.
I don't think he's going to do that. The Twisted Fate is open. Snowflower, of course, a Blitzcrank connoisseur, but the current state that champion is in, I think it is less likely. They can go instead for a pure pick composition with a Thresh, another Snowflower special.
Blitz got nerfed a couple patches ago because he was just so oppressive.
I was really tired of seeing Blitz in the professional scene, Achilleo, so I'm glad that
they just had to take him down a peg.
Nerfed him.
It was so needed. But thank God Echo is still here.
I actually like the new Echo build. It's less oppressive. There's still a lot of risk to it. And it is going to be the TF and the Thresh and a Pantheon quick lock in there. Okie dokie.
Oh my.
That was very fast.
Okay, so we said that ROX probably weren't going to mess around too much, but
they're matching globals.
They're going to...
Well, at least for game one. So the mind games that go into this part of the season Achilleos, they're pretty legit, and ROX, at least they can afford to lose game number one in this series. Now, Kuro has not played Pantheon at all this year.
I mean, we haven't seen Pantheon since Coco's blind pick into mid lane where he got absolutely dumpstered.
Well, now Kuro has played Jarvan in the mid lane when that was more of a popular pick, but into Azir as a lane counter pick. And the Pantheon, he's going to be able to follow the Twisted Fate as well as have extreme pressure, kill pressure on the TF in the mid lane. So this will be interesting. Now, Pantheon is going to fall off in the late game. I was totally wrong. It's going to be a Karma support. Now, ROX is basically not going to have a front line in the late game, so this is going to be either a crazy snowball for the ROX Tigers, or they are going to get wrecked in late game by the Afreeca Freecs, who certainly have more versatility. But Afreeca going for basically a pure pick composition, looking to get ganks and single target crowd control and play the map. But Kuro will be answering with an Ignite Pantheon, man dropping with a cannon barrage into the side lanes. So this is going to be bloody, is what I'm trying to say, Achilles.
Is your body ready, Monte Cristo?
My body is ready.
Well, my body's ready too, so let's go ahead, get right into game one. Afreeca Freecs versus ROX Tigers. All right, Ocean Drake gonna start things off for us. But really, who cares about the Ocean Drake? We have a Pantheon in mid.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Obviously, it's going to snowball really hard one way or the other. As we take a look at this game, just because that Pantheon basically does nothing in the late game. Most champions will be able to survive his burst, especially when we start talking about Zhonya's coming in on the Twisted Fate, the Echo getting super tanky, etc., etc. And there is a very nice illustration of Gorilla.
Yeah, our resident artist here. Always shows up for the ROX Tigers games and always has beautiful illustrations of the players. But ROX, definitely, the fans are out today for them. And we should have a very packed stadium throughout the duration of the day. ROX Tigers and SK Telecom. That means everyone wants to show up to watch.
Yeah, lots of great games that we've got today, especially the Tigers fans are going to be out here in force cheering for their team to qualify for the World Championship and another finals here.
But this time, the fans, they definitely want them to actually win that finals.
Yeah, it'll be another heartbreaker if they end up losing to SKT, but you know what, Achilles? They're coming in as the hot team this time. A Deathfire Touch on the Pantheon.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to get that little excess damage in with the Spear Poke.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, Q first here for the Pantheon. And it begins the poking and the dots. And this is obviously extremely annoying to lane against. There's not much you can do. Pantheon also with that shield.
I was going to say, the passive can block the
cards. Pick a card. So that's another reason why it's a great pickup here and a counter pick in lane. But it's about, at the professional scene, it's not just about laning. It's about being able to follow the Twisted Fate, being able to play with this pick into the late game. And the fall off is pretty severe. But as for a first game, the ROX Tigers, mind games should be present. This is going to dissuade other teams in the playoffs from necessarily picking the Twisted Fate if it goes well, and even if it doesn't go well.
Just showing that you have something else in the back pocket. But it's a little bit worrisome. ROX do want to get rolling as early as possible because as you get later in the game, Peanut, he'll be doing a good amount of AP damage for the start of things, but just having the Gragas and the Karma is not going to be enough to really threaten the side of Afreeca Freecs, so they can just armor up and be pretty okay to make it through those fights.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the major concern, of course, as you say, that armor is going to be the principal way that they will be able to just outscale into the late game. They're not going to need a whole lot of magic resist unless Peanut goes glass cannon, which is unlikely. And if he does do that, then the ROX Tigers have basically nobody in the front line. Now, speaking of Peanut, he has been having just an amazing season. Now, started slow, of course, transition from being the skirmisher saber jungler into more of a warding jungler between spring and summer. So trying to bring up his style to a more acceptable level of play, a more consistent level of play at the professional level. But even then, Peanut has had a shocking number of kills this season. He currently sits in 5th place overall with 145 kills, which is just a huge, huge number. And he's played fewer games than anyone else in the top 5, except for Prey, his teammates, who's at number 4. But otherwise, it's Faker, Bang, and Arrow, who have all played more games. And Peanut, as a jungler, has found himself in the top 5 in total kills. So just, this guy is doing so much work for this team.
And, I mean, it's been apparent in ROX's recent wins. As you mentioned, this last 6 matches not even dropping a single game, all 2-0s. And a lot of that has to do with Peanut, so we'll have to keep our eye on him. He's going to go back to the first buy, just going to go opt into that tracker side. So as you mentioned, going more for the warding style of play these days.
ROX went from 10th place in wards per minute last season to it had been oscillating in about 3rd and 4th place this season. So it's been really, I think, a massive effort on the behalf of their coaching staff to make them not just rely on their pure talent.
Oh, Smeb pushing forward. He's going to check out the Cocoon. Parallel conversions coming through. He's going to run down the river. We'll have the repel coming through from Songwon. He's going to flash the wall, so he makes it out. So a bit of a difficult flash, but he pulls it off.
Also,
make it out alive.
Just his barrel placement allowed them to not even pursue them, because had they run in, he would have just auto-attacked that last barrel and maybe taken another big chunk off of somebody. So Smeb really anticipating that gank and having a great barrel setup to get out.
Yeah, and with that vision of Songwon on the top side of the map, Peanut feels safe to go ahead, pressure in. So he'll take out some of those Raptors. Might have the junglers crash down by the Krugs in a little bit. But no, it looks like Peanut just going to get some nice deep vision with the pink ward, and he'll be able to back out of there. But he did miss the brush, so that's a little bit awkward.
He did, and Songwon will quickly clear that up. But
it's
Kuro
a really intelligent baiting tactic. They wanted to draw him toward the Krugs. Songwon's here. Do they go around? Here comes Peanut. Flash forward from Kuro. Nice juke out with the repel, but doesn't have much of anywhere to go. He's going to have to flash out of there. It's going to be Ignite burned by Kuro. Now he's getting turned on. Takes a bit of damage. Songyun coming up. They flay him in. Kuro might be going down. Gets the death sentence in. Root down on the Songyun. He flashes out. Will make it out alive, and that's going to be first blood as Kuro does fall. Nice lantern through to take Songwon underneath the tower. They will answer a kill onto Snowflower. A 1-1 in the end, but Freecs getting that first blood gold in. Yeah,
they get that first blood gold, and Kuro dies without even getting an assist in that play. So even Smeb in the top lane having a bit more success with the cannon barrage to pick up some gold out of that one. So Kuro, that gank just not quite as effective as they would have liked, and a good flash by Sungwon actually. Start that off.
Good repel though.
That was a mistake to start with the Q. That's really what happened with Kuro, is that he needed to actually land his W before going in on that. And so gave Sungwon time to hit the repel, and then they are able to pick up that kill. Snowflower is the one who secures that first blood gold, and nice lantern to make sure Sungwon is not separated behind the turret, but no follow-up really possible there. Low mana on the Elise. So just a 1-for-1 in the end, but that's a good start here for Afreeca, considering it is more on the ROX Tigers to make the early game plays. And there's an arrow.
Arrow coming through. It's going to hit Kuro. Can they follow up on this? The gold card coming through. Death Sense going to go wide. He was stunned too long. Snowflower underestimated that one. Parallel convergence coming through from Linderong. Doesn't matter. They will lock up Peanut. Can they follow up with this? They will. That's going to be Songwon getting a double kill in mid lane. The Freecs are just pulling the trigger.
Yeah, and even though Songwon, like you said, a little bit late on that cocoon, or a little bit early rather, because the stun hadn't worn off yet, and Kuro was not able to walk backwards without that flash. Pantheon, a bit of a sitting duck, just like Mickey is, if he doesn't have flash on the Twisted Fate. So they're able to translate that play into 2 kills right there. Linderong with a nice roam out of the top side of the map. And with the cannon barrage still down, very few answers for the ROX Tigers. And now Mickey's looking for more.
Yeah, coming up top, we'll pop the Destiny. Parallel convergence not going to stun up Smeb.
Red card.
Slowed up, but here comes the Elise. He's had nowhere to go. We'll cleanse off that one. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Prey getting a kill on the Snowflower. Exhaust on the Songyun, but I don't think they're going to be able to follow up and finalize that. Yeah. We'll trade 1 kill back here for ROX, but they're still going to be at a deficit.
So the red card right there actually did mess up that gank, because had Mickey landed the gold card, he would have forced the oranges earlier, and then the follow-up from Cocoon probably would have killed Smeb. But Smeb, once he saw the red card, didn't actually cleanse, was anticipating the Elise being there, and held his oranges for the Cocoon instead. So let's take a look at what happened on the bottom side. Snowflower, I mean, that's
he just gets tethered up.
It's a lot of damage coming in, and such poke from the Jhin combination. Kuro does man drop into the top side to make sure there is no dive onto Smeb, but no conversion on the early kill. And now Mickey starting to take over this mid lane a little bit, has that CS advantage now. Kuro been roaming a bit more frequently and not with any success.
Yeah, he's been really prioritizing the Q on harassing Mickey rather than securing the last hits on the minion, so he's been falling behind steadily. He's about 12 CS down at the moment, but Mickey's going to catch this wave and continue to be just a bit further ahead. Blue buff, this will help out the Pantheon quite a bit, however.
Yeah, Pantheon, of course, has pretty high mana costs compared to his mana pool, so that is pretty clutch to be able to have that. But Kuro still not with great wave clear, even though he does have 2 points into the Heartseeker strike. This is becoming a little bit problematic here for the ROX Tigers. They wanted to have a pretty substantial lead by this point in time, and if this Pantheon starts to fall behind, the TF going to do a lot more in the late game. But action early on, 5 kills here prior to 10 minutes, which is what we expected, really, with these team compositions. You have to be aggressive.
Yeah. Fortunately for Kuro, just hasn't paid off so well, so will be 2/3 of the deaths for his team so far. You know, gonna have a little bit of a share on that. Songwon pushing forward into this bottom brush, could go for a death sentence into a dark passage style gank here for the Elise to get in and land that cocoon safely. Looks like he's gonna stick around as the wave pushes up, but ROX, they're gonna go ahead and peel back.
He's poking away with the Q, and Gorilla gonna face check.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get caught by the cocoon straight into the Ash Arrow. That's gonna be Gorilla getting deleted. A kill goes over to Songyun, and just another one on the board for Afreeca.
Yeah, bit of a dangerous face check right there. He thought it was somewhat safe because Snowflower was in the river, but the bait was really good. Snowflower drawing them in by splitting up from his jungler and AD carry, but the chain CC between the Thresh, Ash, and Elise is enormous, and Afreeca playing this out very well.
Yeah. Now Mickey about to have the teleport and Destiny back up. So could just be Afreeca continuing to apply some global pressure, maybe a revisit up to the top lane. Trying to get a kill on the Smeb, who so far has been pretty elusive. Seems to be winning the battle against Linderong, chunking him down pretty steadily.
Mickey with the Seeker's Arm Guard there, going to be taking less damage in spite of the arm penetration that Kuro has picked up. Smart early buy before probably, I would assume, moving into Rod of Ages. We'll see which direction he decides to go.
It could just be another really late Rod of Ages. It's going to be Destiny Pop coming up to the top lane, trying to get onto Smeb. He will cleanse off the gold card. Linderong's here to slow him up with the Time Winder. He's going to be taking the tower, but he's got the ultimate. This should be a kill. Kuro is going to come in with the man drop. Mickey taking the tower. He's going to go low. One more hit. There it is. The Ignite will actually finish off Linderong. Peanut arriving. Mickey trying to channel the TP. Can they stop him? The explosive cast to knock him into the wall. And that's a double kill for Kuro. Nicely done by ROX to turn that one around. Pick up 2 for the losing Smeb. So
yeah.
Nice vengeance.
Yeah, very good. Afreeca actually over-committing to that. They thought they were going to be able to pick up that kill as Linderong had his chrono break to get out from underneath the turret, but Smeb bought enough time, and of course the Pantheon ultimate available. Peanut there with the response, so Kuro actually able to turn that one around. Smeb, especially getting under the turret, got Linderong low enough in spite of the Echo ult, and great placement of the man drop. Does get a little bit of damage there onto Linderong and ties him up long enough. Uses the Ignite for the fadeaway kill. Mickey, smart idea to try and get out, but unfortunately Peanut there with the explosive cask. And great placement on that cask too to not move him further away, just slam him straight into the wall, so Kuro could finish that one up. So Kuro gets his vengeance, and now 2 kills onto the Pantheon, and we're nearly even.
Yep, almost has that Youmuu's Ghost Blade. Still going to be a bit further behind Mickey as far as the gold goes. That bonus gold from the Twisted Fate is going to be paying off quite well for him, as well as that CS lead that he has. So Mickey will be inching out ahead by probably a couple hundred CS, but still looking pretty good. Gorilla, oh, he tries to juke that one out, so he goes straight into the death sentence off the back of that hook with the cocoon, and that's just too much CS to try to deal with. He's going to go down. Mickey arrives late, just in case, but now Afreeca, they should be able to take this tower. Oh, Peanut's here. Yeah, almost has the explosive cast back up. It's going to be the curtain call opened up by Prey. Going to try to shove them off as they do clear out the wave. And they will be able to hold on to this, but it is very low on HJ.
Yeah, super low. It's actually kind of miraculous they were able to save it on that wave. Gorilla just a little bit too cocky. I believe he had his flash, but thought he was going to be able to get away from that Ash Arrow. But the problem is, this is one of those situations where if you get hit by one form of CC, you're getting hit by them all. So you have to just use that flash liberally if you can, and not worry about having it down, because you just need to make sure you skip the first CC so you don't get chained in later on. So that'll be a nice early advantage here. And one of the things the ROX Tigers have been absolutely excellent about this season, Achilleos, has been they have been, in 2/3 of their games, the first team to take all 3 towers. And that's typically how they snowball. They snowball off of an early gold lead. But they are starting to fall behind in that regard.
Be a little bit dangerous from Songwon, really low. Tries to go in to get the smite off on the red. Won't find it, so playing a bit of a gamble. Would have gotten the heal from the red buff, but Definitely could have been an explosive cast there from Peanut to try to secure a kill. Peanut wrapping around the back, comes in here, body slams forward, won't find Songwon there, a little bit more damage in, but he's low on mana, so can't follow up with an explosive cast, can try to go in and finalize that underneath tier 2, so he's going to back off. Meanwhile, Prey getting a really nice shove in. Snowflower is sitting in the brush, waiting. Ash Arrow comes out. Prey's actually going to flash back, but he still ends up inside of that one. He gets locked up. The box comes down, tries to finalize the kill on the Songyin. Won't find that one. Cannon Barrage helps take him down a little bit, but Songyin will make it out with the flash and the kill still available.
Yeah, both Prey and Gorilla not doing a good job of playing around these Ash Arrows in this game. He tried to flash straight back, of course, it was still in the path of the Ash Arrow. Credit to Songyin for hitting so many of these. And we talked about this, when Songyin plays well, the Afreeca Freecs tend to do very well as a team. Yeah. He is that X factor for them, and they are actually doing a great job of setting up these picks. So that was a big opportunity missed there for the ROX Tigers. Now, since they had pushed Songwon out of the jungle into a recall, they had time to take that bottom turret, they had time to take the Ocean Drake. But when you get hit by that arrow, everything goes a little bit pear-shaped. And Songyun able to pick up another kill for himself. Nicely done, and that again thwarts the Tigers' momentum.
They're still going to be dragging behind a little bit here. Down that tower. It's going to be, I think, making up the majority of the deficit that they find themselves in, but it will be a 1.2 thousand goal advantage over to Afreeca Freecs so far, who've been playing this early game really nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about Afreeca. They do tend to fall off the later the game goes on. So even though ROX doesn't have the exact ideal team composition to deal with this composition from the Afreeca Freecs, they should still have a good opportunity. Mickey actually goes ahead and finishes that Zhonya's first, so really wanting to buy himself some time in these skirmishes.
So probably not going to be seeing a Rod of Ages.
No, probably not. That would be very far delayed right now. Personally, I think that's probably the better build for this situation. You can always get your Zhonya's a little bit later on. And it's just, as long as you can turtle, and they can because they have this advantage already in the early game, go for the Rod of Ages after the arm guard and then just play for late.
Keep maintaining this proactivity as they move down. They will take the Ocean Drake. So, despite Afreeca being one of the worst teams for First Dragon, they'll be able to take that one away from ROX Tigers. So, Ocean not going to be the most crucial thing, but a second one, that could be pretty good. Prey is going to pop the Yomus just for added measure to get away from that Ash Arrow. Doesn't want to get caught yet again, especially with the flash down. They get a little bit of damage in on the Songyin. That was an interesting spectator interaction that we had going on. Destiny's going to pop. Peanut goes in on the Snowflower. Curtain calls coming through. They're going to try to finish him off. The third shot hits. Fourth one connects onto Songwon, however. And Kuro's there for the follow-up. Going to get another double kill. Mickey on the run. Has an Ignite, taking him down. Only drew the blue card, so wouldn't be able to stun up the Pantheon. But Kuro, having used the flash already, can't dive in underneath the tower. But ROX, they're going to posture forward, shove them off, and take out this tier 1 in mid.
Yeah, ROX continuing with the proactive plays even from behind. Linderong didn't have TP, and neither did Smeb, but Smeb had the Cannon Barrage up, so they knew they had a global available to help make that work. Smeb also making it down into the bottom side. Now, this is a bridge too far. They cannot take the second turret in the mid lane. A little bit of damage.
I liked Gorilla's effort to shield the minion and try to keep it alive as long as possible, but we'll take another look at that fight. Peanut just going really aggressive. I thought this was going to be bad for them.
Yeah, and especially because he did shove people out of the Cannon Barrage too. Gorilla is there helping out with a little bit of crowd control, and Kuro forcing the flash out of Mickey. Kuro with another double kill, just showing the power of this Pantheon in the early game before a lot of armor gets stacked up. And Songwon has to be careful. Songwon is built right now for picks. He is going for a Skirmisher Saber Elise with Magic Pen boots into a Proto Belt. Yeah. So this is not something that can deal very well with the burst that the ROX Tigers is going to have. In fact, I would have said in this particular instance, his priority should be on getting perhaps an earlier Rylai's, if anything, and then trying to build into Zhonya's himself. So I'm not really on board with a lot of the builds that Afreeca are doing right now, because I think it's giving ROX Tigers more opportunities to get back into this game than they really deserve.
Songyun's still going to be trucking along. Looks like it will be Infinity Edge as the second item for the Ashe after the Runan's Hurricane completion. So might not be seeing that Essence Reaver coming through.
Yeah, Gorilla going to be making up for his lack of AP too by getting Forbidden Idol items and getting the additional, right now, 10% bonus to his shields, which is pretty essential for the ROX Tigers.
That would be quite nice. Trinity Force has been completed by Linderong. So the Echo is now going to be quite a nuisance for Bray if he can get onto him in the back line. Because as soon as you see that parallel convergence coming down, you have to cancel the turret call basically and just get away from that. Speaking of which, it's going to be opened up just to clear out these minions and keep Afreeca Freecs off of their tier 1 in mid. Will be successful for the time being. But ROX still not with a massive lead, a bit of a turnaround for them. They'll tie up in towers, still down that dragon and a kill, but they will find themselves with 500 gold advantage. So very much any team's game right now.
Peanut's going to be going for an Iceborne Gauntlet, looks like. So screw the super tanky build
just
on
go
Gragas.
full Lich Bane. Why not?
Cowl into Machine. Well, he certainly is going to be damaging. Some more skirmishes are still going to be the name of the game, and ROX Tigers doing what ROX Tigers do best. One of the reasons why they have such an early first 3-tower completion or kill percentage rate is that, like KT, they really enjoy sending prey to mid lane. And then they use double globals to pressure all 3 lanes at the same time. ROX and KT very similar in that manner. And they never relent. So this time they do have the Pantheon ultimate. So that combined with the Cannon Barrage and a teleport on the Gangplank means that they will have a lot of success in this 3-way split. Of course, Afreeca has ways to answer that too, just their team composition.
See Kuro moving towards that black cleaver now. He's going to be looking to shred everybody. If he can get that E casting on multiple members of Afreeca Freecs in a fight, they are just going to take so much damage, especially from Smeb and Bray, who just, of course, have that massive armor penetration build going on. So
everybody has a massive armor penetration build going on, and that's the issue with itemizing armor against this team composition. Yes, it will be effective, but you need like 2 to 3 armor items for that to even matter.
Yeah. Because
otherwise they're just going to be cutting through it with the flat armor pen.
Good point.
Especially as Smab now working into his Maw of Malmortius, and it's majority magic damage on Afreeca. So at least in the early game, that'll be efficient. Songyun is going to be the man to kill, but realistically, if ROX can kill Songyun at the start of a fight, their itemization is going to really hamper Afreeca's ability to actually close out.
All 3 threats of the Hex Drinkers.
Yeah, exactly.
Screw you, Mickey. Screw you, Songwon. You can't do a damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. Even the Echo, of course, although it's a Trinity Force Echo, so there is more of this.
Oh boy, Peanut going in, finds Songyun. They will just burst him out. Man drop coming through, going to try to find Snowflower. Curtain call coming through. Can they slow him up? He's just going to flash away. Trying to get himself to safety, but Kuro is still there. Slows him up, gets the E coming through. Still going to try to chase this. Peanut goes forward, gets the slow. He hooks over to the Wolf, but he's taking so much damage with that Ignite. He will fall. Kuro finds yet another kill. And ROX Tigers open up, find 2 more, and the tower in top.
Well, they can just attack you so fast and from such a long way away with that Jhin on the setup. Nice play by the ROX Tigers getting into the enemy jungle. And Kuro, taking a look at him, he has that Yomu's Ghost Blade. He has the speed from the Karma and able just to catch up even to a flashing mobility boots Thresh in that situation. Tough to deal with, and Thresh going to be going for a talisman probably pretty wisely here.
Yeah, needs to be able to get away. But Kuro, he's been turning this one around. Had a really rough start to the game as 0-2, but now hasn't died and has added 5 kills to the tally.
Well, this is the consummate ROX Tigers game, right? So much early aggression, never a fear of making plays, even if you're behind. So Ocean Drake will be picked up by them as their first Drake of the game.
Will be Cloud to follow. So if you like super fast Pantheon right now, you'll like him even more when he's got plus 25 move speed.
Especially in pick comp versus pick comp Achilles. Cloud Drake actually is huge because it allows you to basically just collapse faster than the enemy team.
I mean, get into the position for the man drop. Like,
yeah, super
come out
fast.
of that like a bat out of hell.
Yeah, exactly. But whichever team can make it there first is usually the team that wins in pick comps because it's about single target CC and burst damage. So if you can take somebody out and just arrive quicker than the other pick composition, you're going to be having a great time because if they try and engage you afterwards, you'll just have a huge man advantage.
Well, they're going to try to hold this tower. Cannon Barrage comes through. Looks like, yeah, they'll be able to keep that one alive for a little bit longer. Dangerously low. Still have 20 seconds left on the cooldown for Kuro's ultimate. So you can see him hovering around, sort of just looking for a place to go. Vision being cleared out by Afreeca Freecs. A little bit dangerous, Kuro. gonna get locked up there. Teleport's coming through from Smeb. They might want to try to turn this one around. Call comes through, hits a shot on the Song Yun, one on the Mickey who has the Zonias. That's gonna be, actually, Linderong goes into the back line, interrupting the rest of that from Break. He might actually find the kill. Heal comes through, he flashes out, but Linderong will still find it as the ultimate snap back. Meanwhile, in the river, Kuro going low, will get taken out of Songwon. Finalizes that kill. Smeb gonna have to flash away, cleanse off the death sentence with the orange. Ability Virgin's thrown out, it's not gonna connect. They are able to finish off Linderong. The rest of the Freecs pushing forward. Peanut's still really healthy. The cask will slow up Snowflower. He's gonna try to go forward, gets locked up by the death sentence, but there it is, the Drunken Rage hit comes through, and that is gonna be a very dead threat. They're still coming through. Songyun trying to trade this one back. Gorilla flashes out, he's gonna go down all the same. And now Peanut just trying to clean up as best as he can. The parlay from Smeb, able to kill the Ashe, and they're not done yet. They want the ace, and they're gonna be able to find this. Songwon doing his damnedest to try to get out of here. Not in range to repel onto the Wolves. He will fall, and now Mickey coming in, gets the gold card through, but he's taking so much damage, and Smeb will come up with the triple kill at the end of the day on the gangplank. My lord, what an extended fight, but ROX still come out on top.
Wow, absolutely crazy in that engagement at Kilios.
I think it was a triple, maybe it was a quadra, I don't know.
It was a triple, so Kuro right here gets caught out a little bit. Now Prey's gonna start, but there's gonna be another TP coming in from Linderong into the back line. So Mickey's gonna buy a little bit of time. Yes, he goes down first, but ROX Tigers, now they overcommit. They split up. Smeb and Peanut going one way. Peanut really indecisively going the other direction. Prey had to use his flash and heal, still didn't end up surviving. So it looks like it's gonna turn around. Hook is oranged off by the gangplank. Linderong tries to set this up, but Peanut saves the fight. He interrupts the phase dive right there, and that means that there's not going to be a stun coming into Gorilla. Smeb, now they've got another chase going forward. Barrels start going down. Snowflower gets chunked out. Peanut with a double kill, and it just keeps on coming. There's another W, gets the speed boost once again. Songyun tries to get that kill, is successful, but it's turned around yet again. Smeb here with a quick parlay, going to pick up that kill, and now Songwon in a lot of trouble. His repel going to buy him a little bit of time. No targets to go to, though. Can't quite make the Wolves, looks like. And then there's a double, but look at this, Smeb. His oranges were back up by the time that Mickey actually engaged.
Oh boy, now Songwon's trying to walk into his jungle. ROX, a bunch of bullies, they find him out and they take him out, and that's gonna be Kuro putting his 6th kill on the board. Did Smeb kill Mickey in the second time?
Yes.
Then it was a quadra kill.
It looked like it was a triple.
Because Mickey died and then came back in, it was a quadra kill.
It was a delayed quadra.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny, though. And just the ROX Tigers, again, they're so good at skirmishing, and they are just relentlessly aggressive. And it can surprise teams. Them and KT are the most aggressive teams, I would say, in this league. And that time, they just are not afraid to take these fights. Yes, they messed it up a little bit when Peanut made his indecisive movement and decided to split up. They should have just let Prey to die right there. But instead, they're still able to continue to push forward with the help of the Karma. And they are now suddenly in a kill lead in this game, despite having that deficit early on. They're 4 towers to 1. And that's what's so scary about ROX, is it's not, they know their limits so well that they will trade evenly. They'll trade 2 for 2, but it'll always be ROX, the one that takes the turret. It'll be them that takes the Drake. So they're good at trading evenly in kills, but they get the objectives at the end of that fight more often than not.
Yeah. And they have just really turned on for the second half of this game. ROX Tigers now with about a 6,000 gold lead over top of Afreeca Freecs, where just a little while ago it was only 500.
And there's just no fear from ROX either. It's like, oh, well, he fell down, and we've got this composition. We have to make plays.
Oh, boy, Kuro coming up. Yeah, he is gone.
Well, that was not smart.
Well, Mickey arrives just in time to miss the assist, but it's still going to be a kill coming through.
He didn't even have teammates there. I have no idea what he thought was going to happen. The turret was so low. He just let it go, man.
That was ill-advised, I would say, by Kuro, but all good. Still have a nice little lead coming in for ROX Tigers, so not going to be too hurt by that pick.
Well, if they lose mid lane turret too, that's the big problem. But
yeah,
everybody from ROX starting to congregate around that mid lane. No hook there, no cocoon landing either. So Peanut, fat man dodging his way out of some trouble, and now
he didn't even juke, he just walked through.
Fair enough. We have Kuro back up now, and with his ultimate available, he will be able to make a play. So Afreeca a little bit afraid, especially in the mid lane where they don't have a tier 1 turret to fall back to overextend and allow Pantheon to really set up for a kill. And looks like he's going to be going Maw, I would assume, as his next item.
would appear that way. Dirk there for Kuro, so not exactly sure where he wants to go with that. I was expecting a desk play to come through at some point in this build, so still could see that one picked up.
Yeah, that's true. Could be a dust blade. Well, let's see where he decides to go with this one. 2 dust blades would be huge against Afreeca because they are so squishy that it executes would be coming pretty fast from double dust blade on the Jhin and the Pantheon.
Yeah, the longsword in the inventory alongside the Dirk probably alludes more towards something like a Hex Dirk and a Maul Mount Mortius, but I think a dust plate is probably an inevitability for Kuro on this Pantheon.
Well, what a wild game. We've never seen triple armor pen before, but
No, we have not.
it seems like it's working pretty well.
Haven't seen a Pantheon in a long time either. Mandrop's going to come through, but Songyun, he is long gone by that point, but the rest of the team is getting locked up. Curtain call coming through. Songyun gets popped back in. There it is. He will arrive in time to try to get an assist on that. Smeb going to confirm the kill, and that's going to be 3 members of Freecs very swiftly getting swept underneath the rug, and now ROX, they're going to turn right over onto this Baron. The only thing they have to worry about is Linderong's putting in bot. He'll probably take that tier 2, but they'll be happy with the Baron.
Yeah, they will be very happy with this Baron. Not the best tank to work with, but with 3 people dead, not too many options for any kind of stalling from the Afreeca Freecs. They thought about recalling, but realized that by the time they get there, the problem would be 8-second recall versus 4 seconds, so worth it just to burst down the Baron a little bit faster and then move ahead and try and push out their lane. Still, nice answer from Afreeca. With only 2 people on the map, they get 2 turrets, so it's not the worst trade in the world.
You know, help him catch up very slightly. There's just under 6,000 gold behind, but now with the Baron buff, you just have to wonder how many structures is ROX going to be able to take. They're going to kick things off with the Cloud Drake, as Afreeca not really in a position to even try to contest that, nor would they really want to. So they'll just let that one go over, and that's actually going to be it. We only get 3 Drakes this time around. Elder will be the next one spawning.
Wow. So there's now a Duskblade onto Smeb, too. Oh my god. This is such a terrifying GP.
Triple Duskblade in the end.
30 minutes, 6, 1, and 9 for this Gangplank, and just an incredibly impressive performance.
Oh dear.
I mean, this game is the reason why Smeb and Peanut are at the top of the MVP standings, effectively.
Yeah.
They're having outstanding seasons, and I don't know if there's... we can obviously say that KT is probably the next team with, like, the top jungle 1-2 punch in scoring someday that rivals this, but, man, it is hard to say, outside of the ROX, Tigers, and KT, who any other teams that can really compete with the top side of the map.
I mean, Juke alone, but if you're talking about jungle combination
Yes, that's
with top
the problem,
lane,
right?
then you don't really know where to go on that. It's going to be a really deep teleport coming in for Linderong, coming in behind ROX Tigers. They're going to be able to spot him out in a second. There he is. Destiny coming through. Parallel Convergence lands onto Prey. Destiny coming through. Gold card onto the Jhin. They're bursting him down. Prey flashes away. He's not long for this world. He will fall. Mickey just about to go down. Has the Zonias in time. He is still going to die. Meanwhile, they were able to finish off Songyun underneath the tower, and ROX are going to push right back in. Peanut body slamming forward, trying to get onto Linderong. Will slow up a little bit, but this inhibitor is going to go down, and ROX Tigers, they're just looking to break the base in all sorts of ways.
Yep, pretty effective. Yes, Prey dies at the backside of that fight. Linderong coming back
Linderong
in.
goes forward, gets caught up by the stun. Can they finalize the kill? Uses the ultimate. Might be able to walk out of this one. No, big barrel comes through from Smeb. Will finalize the kill, and that is going to be Songwon dying as well. And now ROX, they're going to look to end this as they jump onto Snowflower, burst him out. Just, a few more kills coming in for
Why don't you
Kuro.
just end the game right now?
And they say, screw it, you know what? We're here. We have Baron-empowered minions. It's 32 minutes in. ROX, they're going to shatter the base. They're going to break the Nexus, and they're going to win game 1.
ROX is so impressive.
Oh my god.
Oh,
why not?
no!
You know what, Songyun? You walked a little too far forward. I have an explosive cast for you, says Peanut. They pop him out. They take him down. 8 kills for Kuro on his Pantheon debut. And that is game 1 very convincingly going to ROX Tigers.
Well, it looked a bit rocky at first, but ROX just come back, and the knowledge of their limits is what is so astounding about this ROX lineup. They will just keep pushing forward, keep taking advantages. You think you're winning these skirmishes, you think you have an edge, and yet time and time again,